Jacob is seen waking up from his bed. He walks to the bathroom as he stares at himself in a mirror. He takes a shower and later on he's on a train as he sees two lovers enjoying themselves. He arrives at the office where he works as the security. He later on stands to talk to the janitor when suddenly he gets a migraine and faints. After fainting the other day, he's now at home where he unusually feels hungry even after eating some food. He decides to go to the hospital. The doctor determines that his body shows that he is malnourished even though he claims he eats like a horse. Now at night Jacob decides to go to a bar. After a couple minutes he steps outside and meets this girl. They remain outside together smoking and exchanging stories. After some time they walk together and John shows her his scars on the hand that were caused by the sunlight. Amazed by this she says, "Oh my God, you're like a vampire." Jacob hunger persists as he walks again in the night. Going to work then he decides to stop at a butcher shop to buy raw meat. He watches carefully as the meat is cut and when he finally gets it, he pours his drink away and fills in the juicy blood from the meat in his cup then drinks it. At home now, he sits back and watches some vampire movies. He wonders if he's becoming a vampire so he checks if he has fangs on the mirror. He also checks if a crucifix has any effect on him but nothing happens. So as the night gets boring he decides to call the girl he met the other day. The girl seems to fancy him too, so without hesitation she decides to go to his place. After some time they start kissing deeply but the girl somehow bleeds from the nose and as she notices it, she decides to run to the bathroom. John feels weird after the blood from the girl's touches his face, and when the girl comes back from the bathroom he asks her to leave since he's not feeling fine. He runs again to the shop to buy the raw blood and drinks several cups of blood again to satisfy his hunger. As things are getting worse for him, he now decides to go to the hospital to find some blood in the trash. As he's struggling to open the trash can he gets caught by a nurse named Marcus. Marcus figures out that he's looking for blood and it so happens that he has blood he was about to throw away. He gives him the blood and assures him there's more but the next time he's going to have to pay. He now asks again the girl, Mary, to come by. They first meet up elsewhere and at the end they go home. A while later they start kissing again but this time the girl gets startled as she notices something weird about John's eyes. After telling him that, he rushes to the bathroom where he sees his eyes changing colors to green. The woman ends up living again. He then now decides to meet up with Marcus to get the blood. When they meet up he gets in a car and they head up in a random house where he's told to wait outside. When he watches from the window he sees a guy tied up in a chair and Marcus draws blood from him. Agitated by this he calls out Marcus for being weird. Marcus then beats him up and takes his money but leaving the blood on the floor. When he's at work again, a police officer comes in to question him about a murder of a woman that happened nearby. After couple questions, the officer leaves his card for him to reach out when he has any new information. The girl she met before now comes by again. This time she's looking for paintings as she's found someone who might sell them in a gallery. As they sat together things become intense and they start kissing romantically again. This time around they manage to start having sex. When they're deep in it, the guy suddenly bites the girl's neck. Shocked by this she pulls away and they immediately stop. So confused by this, Jacob tries to explain to the girl that he likes her but he's afraid of hurting her. As days go his hunger worsens and now he becomes really in need of blood. He goes to the hospital to look for Marcus the nurse, only for Marcus to turn him down because he is causing a scene. Later on they meet up at Marcus's house. Marcus then says to him that he has no blood till next week. Jacob becomes so frustrated by this, he starts arguing with Marcus and in the heat of the moment, he pushes him down causing him fall on some shattered glasses and cut himself on the neck. As John sees blood gushing from the neck his eyes start turning. He is later shown waking up from the streets. It appears he passed out. He quickly goes back to his place and takes a shower. He has flashbacks of the people he believes to have killed. Marcus's brother goes to Marcus's place to look for him. He finds the door locked so he rings his phone. He then hears the phone ringing from the back. As he goes to investigate, he finds Marcus's phone on the ground covered in blood. He also finds Jacob's card on the floor. After showering Jacob decides to visit Mary. Mary invites him in, and a few moments later he confesses to Mary that he is unwell. He tells her that he is sick, and that he thinks he might have anemia. Marcus's brother looks up for the information found on the card. He follows up and finds out that Jacob would be present for the art gallery show. Mary and Jacob arrive at the gallery and moments later they are at the rooftop making out. Marcus's brother finds them and points a gun at them. He then questions where his brother is. As Jacob fails to answer the question, Mary gets shot, but Jacob manages to get the gun from Marcus's brother and orders him to leave. Jacob now decides to suck the bullet out of Mary's chest. Surprisingly he succeeds and now Mary gets healed but still unconscious. He decides to take her home to rest. Jacob decides to go to the police station. He goes in and tries to confess for his crimes. He believes that he killed that woman earlier, and he also claims to the officer that he killed Marcus. The officer doesn't believe and he thinks he's delusional. The officer says to Jacob that he's a nice kid with no previous cases. As the officer refuses to arrest him he gets angry and scuffles with the officer, only for the pictures to fall down. He now sees that the woman who was killed earlier was burnt. Jacob now realizes that the people he bites or kill end up turning into vampires that are affected by sunlight. Realizing this he rushes to his place to cover all windows so he could protect Mary from the sunlight. He also goes to Marcus's place to look for him. As he walks in with a gun, he finds a person laid on a table with pipes all over the body draining his blood. Marcus and his brother get in and quickly take the gun from Jacob. He then takes Jacob for a ride along with the body he's draining blood from. He takes Jacob to a bridge, and explains to him about his vision. He tells Jacob that the world is theirs for taking and they are the only ones of their kind. So it's pointless for them to fight, therefore he asks Jacob to help him dump the body. So he agrees and they carry the body under the bridge. As they are about to toss the body in the water Marcus's brother becomes hesitant, but Marcus beats his brother up and tells him to keep on working. Soon after when Marcus loses focus, his brother beats him up with a brick on the back of the head. They now chain him up and leave him to burn when the sun rises. In the morning the police find Marcus's body completely burnt. Meanwhile Mary keeps getting hungrier at Jacob's place and no food satisfies her hunger. Jacob decides now to go to Mary. But as he arrives, the officer is at the car waiting for him. Jacob runs to the house and finds Mary nearly unconscious. The officer follows him inside and when he sees Mary like that, he points a gun at him. But little does the officer know that Jacob and Mary are vampires. They look into each other's eyes before they decide to kill him. And that's the end of the romantic horror movie, Midnight Sun. Before you run off please hit the like button and subscribe.